So I think the most important point is um, you should probably choose between the two based on the syllabus of the course and um, which one you see yourself more suited to. Because, for example, Oxford tend to have more specialist courses. So you can choose to do, say, biochemistry right from the start, whereas at Cambridge, you tend to take a more general approach. And as you go through the years, you start to specialize. So that's a huge difference in terms of choosing between the two. When it comes to applying, I think they're a lot more similar now than they were in the past. So Oxford used to have a lot more admissions tests compared to Cambridge, but since the changes to A levels with not having the AS levels as standard, Cambridge have started having admissions tests as well. So now I'd say for most courses at both universities, you will have to sit some form of admissions test. And it does vary by subject, so I won't be able to give a comprehensive answer as to the individual subject requirements. But generally, I think Oxford tends to have tests before you go to interview and you'll sit them at your school. Cambridge has a mixture of before interview and at interview assessments. I think a useful point is that people tend to see these as like an extra hoop to jump through and get quite worried about them. They're not a pass-fail exam, and they're looked at as an extra piece of information in the sort of a holistic approach to each student. And I've done quite a lot of work with access and admissions and sat through interview cycles a lot. And I think what you have to bear in mind is that it's just another way to assess your ability to solve problems and basically your aptitude for your subject in absence of having those sort of AS levels, which were exams that have been sat because schools can be quite variable in terms of predicted grades, which I think we'll probably touch on later in this session. So I guess all I'm saying is don't be worried about them. There's also some more standardized tests for medicine, law, maths as well. You have to sit the step if you apply to Cambridge versus Oxford. So I think it is very course specific and you have to look at the requirements. But in general, I think the admissions process is broadly similar between the two. One difference is the supplementary answer questionnaire, which Cambridge asks people to fill out. So that's another extra form. And again, people see this as another hoop to jump through, but actually it allows you to put in information that you can't put in UCAS, which I think is actually of benefit. So, for example, they have a section where you can write about why it is you want to study your course at Cambridge versus other universities. And sometimes people worry in their personal statement, how do I sell myself to Cambridge when I'm applying to a course that's slightly different at other universities? And that's your opportunity to put in your motivations for doing the specific course. So that's of particular note in natural sciences because generally people will apply to say chemistry or physics elsewhere and apply to natural sciences at Cambridge, and the supplementary answer questionnaire gives you your chance to say why it is you want to do that specific course. So the deadline is 22nd of October, I believe. So you get sort of a week to fill it in after the Cambridge admissions deadline.